Have you ever felt like your mind is constantly racing? Like there's a never-ending stream of thoughts, worries, and distractions pulling you in every direction? No matter how much you achieve, how much you own, or how successful you become, something still feels incomplete. The great teacher Galton Buddha once told his students that the most dangerous weapon in the world is not a sword, not a gun, not even fire, it is our words. Words have the power to build or destroy, to heal or harm. When spoken with wisdom, they can lead us to success. But when spoken carelessly, they can bring us endless suffering. But what if there was another power, greater than words? A power so strong that it can bring peace to the most restless mind? This is the power of silence. Today, I will share with you a story that can change the way you see the world. A story that will help you understand how silence can transform your life. Let us begin. Long ago, in the heart of India, there was a powerful king. He had everything a man could desire: wealth beyond measure, a grand palace, loyal servants, and the admiration of his people. Yet, he felt a deep emptiness inside. He could not sleep peacefully at night. He would wake up feeling restless, frustrated, and irritated. No amount of luxury could calm his mind. One day, after hearing about a famous Buddhist monk who lived deep in the forest, the king decided to seek his wisdom. He traveled for days, leaving behind his palace, his court, and his responsibilities, hoping to find the answer to his suffering. When he finally reached the monastery, he saw the monk sitting beneath a large tree, meditating in complete stillness. The monk's face was radiant with peace, as if he had found the secret to true happiness. The king bowed respectfully and said, "Respected monk, I have everything: power, wealth, fame, but my mind is never at peace. I am constantly worried and anxious. Please help me free myself from this suffering." The monk looked at him with kind eyes and said, "You already hold the answer within you, but you have never discovered it. Let's do an experiment. Are you willing to try?" The king was impatient. He wanted a quick solution. But he was also desperate, so he agreed. "I will do anything for my peace of mind," he said. The monk nodded and replied in a calm voice, "For the next 15 days, you will stay here and live as a simple monk. You must sit in silence and speak as little as possible. Do not speak unless absolutely necessary. Observe everything around you. And most importantly, observe yourself." At first, the king was confused. How could silence solve his problems? But he had already agreed, so he decided to follow the monk's instructions. The first day was the hardest. The king had never spent so much time in silence before. His mind became even more restless than usual. Thoughts flooded his head. Why am I doing this? This is a waste of time. I need to go back to my kingdom. He wanted to talk, to ask questions, to do something, but he forced himself to remain silent. As the days passed, something strange began to happen. For the first time in his life, the king started noticing the beauty of the world around him. He observed the way the wind gently moved the leaves of the trees. He listened to the birds singing in the morning. He watched the monks going about their daily routines in complete harmony. And most importantly, he started noticing his own mind. He realized how often his thoughts were negative, complaining, judging, worrying. He saw how much time he had wasted thinking about things that didn't really matter. By the 10th day, something even more remarkable happened. His thoughts slowed down. The restlessness inside him started to fade. He began to enjoy the stillness. On the 12th day, as he sat in meditation, something unexpected happened. His mind became completely silent. For the first time in his life, he experienced true peace. On the 15th day, the king approached the monk. His face was different. There was a softness in his expression, a quiet strength in his eyes. "Respected monk," he said, "I now understand why my mind was so restless. I used to talk too much. I spent too much energy on meaningless conversations, thinking negatively about people, and worrying about things that didn't matter. That constant noise in my head made me feel lost and exhausted." The monk smiled knowingly. "Yes," he said, "this is the disease of the modern mind. People fill their days with distractions. They talk not because they have something meaningful to say, but because they are afraid of silence. But when you learn to be silent, you discover something amazing, inner peace." The king nodded. "I have also realized that we don't need to force meditation. It happens naturally when we stop fighting with our thoughts and simply allow ourselves to be still." The monk placed a hand on the king's shoulder and said, "This is just the beginning of your journey. Silence is not just about not speaking, it is about listening, observing, and truly understanding yourself. The more you embrace it, the more peaceful and powerful you will become." The monk then shared a teaching from the Buddha himself. Once, a student asked Buddha why he often remained silent. The Buddha replied, "I stay silent to dive deep within myself. Without silence, self-discovery is impossible." The king listened carefully. "Most people talk too much," the monk continued. "And most of what they say is unnecessary. If people spoke less, the world would have fewer fights, fewer misunderstandings, and less suffering." He paused and then said, "A wise person knows when to speak and when to remain silent. Silence gives you control over your own mind. It allows you to hear your own thoughts clearly. And when you do speak, your words will have more power, more meaning, and more truth." The king returned to his palace, but he was no longer the same man. He still ruled his kingdom, but now he spoke only when necessary. He no longer allowed negative thoughts to control him. People began to respect him even more. When he spoke, everyone listened, because his words were thoughtful and filled with wisdom. The restless king had transformed into a wise and peaceful ruler. And so, my friends, what about us? Do we talk too much? Do we waste energy on unnecessary thoughts and conversations? What if we took just 20 minutes each day to sit in silence? To observe our thoughts, to breathe, to simply be? If we embrace silence, we will discover a new kind of strength. A new kind of power. The power of inner peace. So take a deep breath. Close your eyes. And remember, true wisdom begins in silence. If this story has touched your heart, if you believe in the power of inner peace and wisdom, then join us on this path. Subscribe to Lotus Insight and become a part of a community that values mindfulness, wisdom, and self-discovery. Let us walk this path together. Let us choose silence over chaos, wisdom over noise, and peace over restlessness.